welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Modern at the request of Patreon subscriber Sai, and this is Delirium Twin. I am recording this video on Friday, June 27th, which is the last work day for me, last recording day before the ban update on June 30th. I don't know if Modern is going to be affected by this, but it seems safer than recording Legacy today, so if, I don't know, by the time you see this 2 weeks from now, Boros Energy is banned or whatever, sorry. Doing my best here. Now for the deck itself. We've got Splinter Twin. Banned for a long time, recently unbanned, has done close to nothing in the format, which a lot of Modern players had predicted. The difference between the Modern Horizons affected era of Modern and when you just had to play cards that came through Standard, very different. And Splinter Twin was a menace. I was playing Modern back then. Became not a menace and is now legal again and is not a menace. But Sai wanted to figure it out. The old Splinter Twin deck was an Izzet control deck that whenever it ground you out of resources or it got up to enough mana to protect with a counterspell, it could set up Deceiver Exarch Splinter Twin. And then this is infinite damage because tap to make a copy. When Exarch enters, you can tap or untap target permanent. And then you untap the Exarch, which taps and makes another one. Then you have infinite hasty 1/4 creatures. That is the combo if you're not familiar. But the threats in Modern are too good now. The answers are too good. It doesn't make sense to try to sculpt your game plan around a combo. It makes sense to make your opponent react to you, and then when they are out of gas and you sense weakness, drop the combo. That's why we've got Dragon's Rage Channeler, a viable threat all on its own. The Channeler with 4 Bauble, 4 Preordain, you're shredding through your deck pretty good here. Fear of missing out. This one bridges the gap between the aggressive Izzet deck and the Splinter Twin deck. When this enters, discard a card, draw a card. Delirium, which is if you have 4 or more card types in your graveyard. When this attacks for the first time each turn, if there's 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, untap target creature. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. This can just apply pressure. It's additional card selection. It helps you get Delirium. If you start getting double attacks in with your Dragon's Rage Channeler, that's a lot of damage that adds up quick. This also combos with Splinter Twin if you have Delirium. Because you tap this to make a copy, you go into combat, the copy attacks, which untaps the original one, which then, before the next combat phase starts, you tap to make another copy, and this is a Splinter Twin outlet as well. And while you're twinning with this deck, or with this card, you shred through your deck. When it enters, discard a card, draw a card. This is not optional. You don't have to discard a card to get the card. If you start Hellbent, you will eventually loot 1 card at a time into every card in your deck. Either they die from 2-point hits, or you find a couple of lightning bolts along the way and fire those off mid-combat, and then you dig for another one. And then since we're basically playing Izzet Murktide anyway here, this is not a control shell. This is kind of a tempo control shell. Murktide region is here. Expressive Duration, DRC, Bauble, Preordain, Counterspell, Lightning Bolt. This is the Izzet Murktide shell. Izzet Murktide was mostly replaced in the metagame with Dimir Murktide when Psychic Frog was printed, but Splinter Twin gives us a reason to be red again. And that's the idea. Make them respond to you. If you sit on your resources for 5-6 turns and try to go off all at once, they've also been sculpting for those 5 or 6 turns. But if they have to take the pressure off by answering a Channeler, answering a FOMO, answering a Murktide, then the coast starts to clear a little bit for the Deceiver Exarch combo. And it works the other way too. If you surveil away or loot away a Deceiver Exarch or a Splinter Twin early on in the game, then they might hold their removal and not kill your Dragon's Rage Channeler, and then you get a bunch of extra damage in while they're worried about something that you don't even have. Or you may or may not have. That's the idea. I'm excited to try this. This is Delirium Twin from Sai. I'm on the draw in round 1. got a hand with some land, some interaction, and some threats. Let's keep it. That's basically what this deck is made of. I was warned by Sai that our bad matchups are faster combo, which would basically include Amulet. And I imagine Belcher is competitive. We're about the same speed of combo, but they have a lot of interaction. Blue-white control variants, I was told, can be tough, but that's why we have Ragavans in the sideboard. You basically board out your Splinter Twins for Ragavans and just get low against decks like that. Looks like we are playing against Boros Energy, a deck that may or may not be fully intact by the time you watch this video. I've honestly not been playing a lot of Modern, and there's always going to be a best deck. I think talking about Magic in terms of like the thing that's winning the most must always be broken and always be banned is not useful. And if the best deck cares about combat, then that's probably a good place to be overall. I'm going to take this 1 damage, see if there's something better to Lightning Bolt. Oscillate Pride. Okay, am I more worried about Pride or Guide? Well, I'll let this resolve. And alright, we are changing phases. I'll kill the Ocelot Pride before that does anything else. And Boros Energy's got a lot of depth to it. Like, they have the Blitz aggro, then they have the Goblin Bombardment, then they have the Flage follow-up afterwards. There is a lot going on in this deck, but also they are ultimately trying to cast creatures and apply 20 damage to their opponent's life points, mostly through combat. So as far as decks that are the best in a format go, in what is Magic the Gathering if not trying to attack for 20? But that said, I don't have the advanced analytics that Wizards of the Coast does. I'm also not playing a ton of Modern right now to know what exactly we're dealing with. So maybe this deck gets a hit, maybe it doesn't. If you want more thoughts on this, the Eternal Glory podcast talked about it. We talked about every format. All right, so I'm going to heat the Guide before they get another energy here. And I can counterspell Flage and use this opportunity to get my Surveil land. Right, so I ended up taking 1 more damage off that sequence than I really needed to. But I think that's okay. I don't think I need this island either. Bobble. All right, tell me your secrets. I'm going to look at the top of their deck and then make decisions. Blood Moon, holy smokes. All right, well, I guess I'm going to hold up Counterspell for Blood Moon this turn. And I'm in some amount of trouble. Pinning that island a little stinky. Spell Snare is pretty good against their deck, but it's not lining up against their current draw at all. All right, yeah, I mean, counter that. Now Flage is a problem, but they did just miss a land drop, which means Deceiver Exarch can keep them off Flage for a turn. Snare. I could just ram Murktide and hold up Spell Pierce, or Spell Snare, not Pierce. I could play FOMO and discard one of the snares. I could play Exarch and make sure I don't get Flaged this turn. I think I'm going to go for Murktide. That does slow down my Delirium a bit, but that's not the angle I'm on. If they draw a land and play Flage, alright, as long as it's not Arena of Glory, I've got Murktide in front of this thing, and I can Exarch it next turn to tap it down. Just in a classic old damage race here. Yep, here's Flage. I'm at 8. They're at 19. I'm not favored in this damage race, but I do have a combo in my deck somewhere. Oh, there's a combo in my deck right there. Okay. Well, I'm going to attack for 6. I'm going to tap down Flage, and I'm going to hope that I draw a land. They have been sitting on these 2 cards in their hand for several turns. Good chance it's a Static Prison or something like that. Exarch. Tap target permanent and opponent controls. Flage. Galvanic Discharge does kill Deceiver Exarch. 2 cards in their hand. Come on, deck. Land. Alright, well, let's play that turn cycle over again. Attack for 6. I don't want the Ocelot Pride getting chip shots in. Your opponent's at 7. They're actually almost dead here, which is pretty sick to the tempo side of the deck. Something's happening in my end step. Thraben Charm deals 4 to that. I could counter this, but I actually need Flage tap down or else nothing's going to work here. Beginning of combat, another Exarch. These are the Splinter Twin play patterns I remember from the early times. And this is why this deck was so oppressive. It's like, I'm just doing all this other stuff while you also have to hold up removal or you're cooked. All right, easy peasy. 2 random cards added to the hand. Galvanic Discharge is the only one that can affect Deceiver Exarch, but that is a big one. Ugh. Alright, well. And as far as cards go, this one's not the worst. Blue-red. Yeah, maybe binning that island was a mistake all those turns ago. It seemed fine at the time, but then I did have to counter Blood Moon because I didn't have access to blue, and then I also am just sitting here 3 turns in a row with a lethal thing if I can do anything, which I can't. Okay, so I'm going to put Spire Bluff Canal in my hand. I don't want to take any damage I don't have to, so... Or Bauble in hand. It doesn't really matter which way I do this. Misty to the bottom, exile Spire Bluff, play Spire Bluff, play Bauble, Bauble U, Marsh Flats. That's a good card for them to draw, for me. Blage is a problem, but not if I have infinite life, or I deal infinite damage next turn. Unfortunately, 1 short of lethal. What a tilt. Okay. I will pass and hope that my board can absorb. Ah, damn it. That's the card that they could have that kills me. All right. Well, I think I've lost now because I have to chump block Flage and then I have nothing. Yeah, there's the Marsh Flats. 1 card in hand, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm at 1, even with the chump block. Okay, so if Murktide was 1 point bigger, I win this game. If I found 1 other attacker ever, I win this game. And if I don't bin my island or I draw a land sooner, I win this game. All right. Close. And probably winnable. Okay. Engineered Explosives comes in here. I just realized I have mismatching Unholy Heats. What a tilt. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. Okay, Engineered Explosives is my sweeper. I don't think I want Tormod's Crypt. Even though Flage is the card I lost to. Like, by itself, pretty much. I think I want to shave 1 twin. I mean, shaving on twin, the old decks did that. This current deck should do that, I think. And then Preordain and Bauble. This is not a matchup that gives me a lot of time to Preordain. Bauble does help with Delirium, but I'm replacing it with different artifacts. I think this is okay. All right, this is what I'm doing. Yeah, having to fight over that Blood Moon, I think, cost me the game. If I counterspell Flage, they just do nothing for 3 turns and Murktide kills them. So fetching basics earlier could have been an option. Keeping the island I did mill away was an option. All right, well, this hand does not cast Counterspell, but I am going to keep. I've got a threat, and I do have Spell Snare for their 2-drop. Spell Snare on the play is just such a sick magic card. And then EI for turn 3. Gotta trust in the EI. It'll look at 4 cards, including the Dragon's Rage Channeler trigger. Ocelot Pride, powerful stuff. Splinter Twin. All right, there's one of those. One of the 2 that I still play. I just gotta pass and see if Ocelot Pride runs away with this game by itself. Can't block. Don't have a removal spell. Please cast a 2-drop. Let me in here. Hell yeah. Okay. That's a very good 2-drop. And I'm glad it's gone. Fear of missing out. I think I have to bin this. This gives me 75% of Delirium, because that's an enchantment and a creature, plus the instant that just dropped. And I'm looking for my next land and a way to set up the rest of my game. Okay, cool. Hold up Counterspell. Okay, this actually is a 3/3 that I can block with because I can just fetch. I'm going to hold up Counterspell here. Another Bombardment. Am I worried about this right now? I don't think so. All right, I have to let this resolve, unfortunately. Okay, they're fetching. Do I want to play against 2 of these? Probably not. All right, I'll get Delirium here and counter this thing with a basic. I do want that land. All right, I'll put it on top. They're temporarily frozen, but Ocelot Pride gets to wake up next turn. I have 4 looks at a Lightning Bolt to get out of this. Expressive Iteration. Ooh. Well, I'll put that on top. I am going to need that eventually. Oh, okay. I can slam Murktide here. So I put Deceiver in hand. Flooded Strand to the bottom. Exile Murktide. Attack for 3, then play Murktide Regent. I want to get my flying attack in while it still has flying. Steam Vents. Take the beats. Murktide. Arriving as 6/6, pretty good. And I have the Splinter Twin combo in hand. If they get to 4 creatures in play, Goblin Bombardment just checkmate Splinter Twin. It's pretty awful. And, yep, there they go. They're in. Well, I'm blocking this. That cat can die whenever they want it to. Like putting the Oscillate Pride into combat's really interesting. All right, Murktide has 2 damage on it. They can do another 3 by activating a Johnny and then finish it off with Bombardment. Kind of just treading water under the 4 creature count. The lethal 4 creature count. Okay, cool. They picked off the DRC. That's great. Okay, a little risky here. EI hitting a land is the best velocity. EI missing on a land might actually kill me. I think I'm going to EI. Hit a land, technically. Not the one I wanted. So I will go... This is 3 cards in the graveyard. Murktide's not here yet. The problem is if they just have, like, a removal spell in their hand, that line doesn't work anyway, and I'm trying to grind them out. Like, do I want the land, or do I want to preordain into land? I did this to find land, but preordain is pretty good. I don't want to have to take a land, so I will put preordain in hand, Murktide to the bottom, exile Spire Bluff Canal, then I'll play preordain. Okay, bottom top. That's just one of those spots where if they just have like Thraben Charm in their hand, I lose if I go for it. But if they have nothing in their hand, I just missed a window to take a shot. But I gave myself a window to draw a counterspell, maybe. Fear of missing out. Interesting. If I play this and loot away a Splinter Twin, this is an object in play that they might have to put some respect on. I'm not going to twin twice this game. Unholy Heat, let's go. Okay, sweet. So here I can play Exarch. Oh, I don't have Delirium. Son of a biscuit. I was just in a jam and not get me there. All right, so I can't kill a Johnny, which is what I wanted to do. Okay, I will pass. They are exiling this. Okay, so that card would have killed me if I had gone for it last turn. Put a +1 counter on each cat you control. Sure, that's legal. I don't want to lose my creature to Flage. Do I die to Flage anyway? This is 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. And I'm going to 6. So that is lethal anyway. All right. I'm going to play Deceiver Exarch and untap my red source and then Unholy Heat one of these cats. Untap Spire Bluff Canal. And then Heat. I can't afford to block. That's illegal. Okay. I accept this 3 damage. Unhappily, but necessarily. Galvanic Discharge. I'm doing the thing, though. I'm working their hand down, and I still have combo in hand. Come on, spell. Something good. Lightning Bolt. I'll take it. All right, I'm going to pass, and this can clear the Cat Warrior. And I still have Exarch mana up. A land. Good. Please don't Entomb a Flage here. That would be such a tilt. Wear Tear. Okay. Okay, at start of combat, I think I should just bolt this thing. That makes the Ajani weaker, saves me 3 damage. Now the 1 card in their hand has to be able to deal at least 3 damage. And Ajani plus Bombardment is such a block. But it is also curious, like, to the earlier conversation about, is this deck out of line, or is it just good? I don't know. Okay, here we go. I lose the Lightning Bolt. Oh, I have Lightning Bolt. Fascinating. Now I don't lose the Lightning Bolt. Or yeah, I still do. All right, never mind. Well, here I go. One of us wins here. Tap. Untap target permanent I control. All right, we did it. We twinned him out. Okay. Drawing 2 Splinter Twins that game felt like too many, but also that was how I was going to win the game. Maybe I shouldn't have poured one out and rely on the, like, if I end up drawing 2, I have fear of missing out and ways to use them otherwise. I need all my removal. I feel like 2 is just the right number, though. Yeah, okay. Here we go. I like my hand. A bunch of removal. A Murktide to follow up. Some selection and advantage. Ooh, a tap land to start. Will they play around Spell Snare? A card they have seen. Bobble. I'm going to bobble myself and decide if I want the card. I hope it's just Spell Snare. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Okay. I'm going to play Scalding Tarn and pass. And I will draw the Channeler. Okay. They might not be playing around specifically Spell Snare. Like they might have just had 2 1-drops in their hand and that's how it worked. Alright, by going after Guide of Souls, I can ignore Ocelot Pride for a turn cycle. I could play Fear of Missing Out. I could play Dragon's Rage Channeler and hold up Lightning Bolt, which is not necessarily Delirium. Alright, I have to take some damage. That's just how this fetch cycle worked out, because I can't Lightning Bolt or Unholy Heat off of basic island, as much as I'd like to. If they Blood Moon me here, I can play on mono red for a little while. Alright, I'm going to bolt Ocelot Pride before that flips a Ajani. Otawara, I don't need that. Okay, Ajani's in. I clearly don't know Spell Snare now, or I would have used it. Alright, Ram Murktide, play FOMO. EI does give me Delirium. I might want to do that second main so I don't have to attack. I don't want to be in a damage race. I want to be controlling. Okay, I'm going to go to second main and then cast Expressive Iteration. Though 5/5 Murktide is an object they do have to respect. Nah, I'm going to go for the card selection. Right, second main, EI. Uh-oh. Fear of Missing Out. That gives me Delirium. It's also a pretty cool card to play. I will put that into the graveyard. I was going to have Delirium anyway, but I now also have that Delirium. Okay, Exarch to hand. Thundering Falls to the bottom. Exile DRC. Got to take another 2 damage here, but I do have another 3/3 flyer. And this is the game plan at work, just kind of outstatting them while they have to respect the combo. At least I hope so. Flage cleans me up really hard here. Arena of Glory. Goblin Bombardment. Alright. That's mediocre on this board. I mean, it's always going to be good. It's not necessarily the threat of Goblin Bombardment, it's the threat of everything that's going to come out of it afterwards. Okay, so they must have another creature or another source of damage, because this is only one. Or if they sack the cat right away, that will finish off the DRC, and then Ajani dies to my other one. Thraben Charm, exiling my graveyard, makes me lose Delirium. Orum's Chant, fascinating. I can't attack or play spells. I have a spell, though. I'm just going to invest this. Untap target permanent you control. Spending mana, where I'm otherwise not spending mana, sounds useful. Not allowed to attack, but that is kind of a shitty use of Orum's Chant. That was a really bad turn for them, all things considered. Haste for creature spells. What am I getting hit with? Oh my god. A Final Fantasy card! When Joshua enters, discard up to 2 cards, draw that many cards. For 5, you can exile Joshua as whatever's going on in the back. Some saga. That costs 5, though. I'm going to ignore that for now. But draw 2, discard. Or discard up to 2, then draw that many. So it's probably draw 1, discard 1 here. Dumped the redundant Goblin Bombardment. This is 2 damage. They can sack their board to deal with Deceiver Exarch. Or they can sack half their board to deal with DRC. Alright, Channeler is the choice. It's probably the correct choice. Alright, Joshua. They did not end up giving it haste. They tapped it that way at first and then changed their mind. I have a Surveil land. I'm just fully ignoring Blood Moon. I think I like Counterspell. Yeah, I can just play Murktide and hold up Counterspell. What does this shit do on the back? Now it matters. Deals 2 damage to each opponent of the first 2 chapters. Return any number of target creature cards with total mana of 6 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then it flips back. Alright. It's also just a 3/4. Alright, big ol' Schmirky Reach coming in. I'm able to do it full size and keep Delirium. That's pretty sick. And I'm going to dump this card out because you get a card even if you're hellbent with FOMO. And now we're just playing Izzet Murktide for the most part. They do have mana number 5, but this is just like better as a 3/4 on this board, right? Oh, it's a 4/4, right? These are creatures on the back too. It's not just a saga. It's a big creature. And once again, they have the option to delete their board to kill Deceiver Exarch. Wow, they're taking it. Or just not interested in doing 2 damage to my face. I'll take that. This can hit anything, right? Damages any target. Okay, yeah, they just missed 2 damage. I like it. Will they protect Ajani here? I am going to attack Ajani with Murktide Regent. This is a 4/4 flying lifelink. It's a pretty big thing. And it deals 2 to me next turn. Fear of Missing Out is going to loot away this land. Unholy Heat, let's go. And I am Delirious. I'm going to kill this thing before it deals 2 more damage to me. They can fling, obviously, but we've almost achieved not only stability, but getting them dead on the backswing. Okay, pass. They have 2 cards in hand. Arena of Glory. I'm holding Counterspell. Am I worried about this? I don't think so. Okay, dashing this gives them 1 energy and 1 life, but I now know their whole hand. I think I'm gonna just take my chances here. That's the first energy in the bank, and we're operating on perfect info. Oh, they're valuing killing fear of missing out. All right, block, block, block. I mean, yeah, I'll kill all your shit. That's fine. I have the biggest creature in play. We'll take it. All right, yeah, they just cooked fear of missing out. Deal. Now my mighty horn turtle holds the ground while Murktide Regent gets them dead. Another counterspell. Love to see it. And for 6, Oscillate Pride. I mean, that one's actually good in a variety of ways. I would ignore it if they didn't have Guide of Souls, but they do. Basic Island. Do I want that in play? I have 1 Fear of Missing Out left in my deck. In having more mana, I'm an expressive iteration strategy, like being able to EI into Splinter Twin. I will just play my land out. Okay, they need to run a runner here. They're dead in 2 hits and I have a counterspell. Static Prison. I think I have to let that resolve. Like, trying to tempo them out here seems like a mistake. The Deceiver and the Guide of Souls can touch butts for a while, and their energy will tick away. And if I draw Splinter Twin, I just win at any point. I believe there is 1 Surveil Land in the deck. Yeah, okay, so I've already used what this is going to do, but in case they have Blood Moon, I'll run it out. I currently don't love my position, but I just need them to, like, draw one blank somewhere along this chain. Interesting. All right, so this must be Galvanic Discharge, but that can kill Deceiver Exarch anyway, or Lightning Bolt, I guess. All right, yeah, I mean, they had the energy for that, even without attacking first, so this is my win con. Losing a life for no reason, a little dangerous, but I don't want to draw that island. Splinter Twin off the top. Card advantage, Murktide Regent. All right, we like a removal spell. I am just going to chill, though. Like, these chip shots for damage and, like, getting into a damage race with them, I'm not winning the damage race, and if something comes out of this Arena of Glory, I need to respect it. Something like that, perhaps. Okay, what do I do now? Mostly just die. I think I'm literally dead here. God damn it, that's such a good draw. All right. Yeah, now they can kill Deceiver just straight up with this, and then I die to the other card next turn. Oh, what a tilt. To be fair, I'm a deck with Expressive Iteration and Preordain, and they're a deck that just drew a card every turn, and they drew Oscillate Pride, Galvanic Discharge, Flage, Static Prison in a row, while I drew a couple of lands. I'm not going to interact with this yet. I need to kill Flage next turn. This is where I draw Splinter Twin and have a blank in my hand. Okay, no, EI. What a legend. All right, Preordain Engineered Explosives. EE for 1 seems pretty good here. Spell Snare versus Preordain. Binding Velocity versus... Okay, I think I want the Preordain. Bottom Spell Snare, Exile EE. Explosives for 1. And I probably Preordain now. I have enough mana to do what I need to do. Deceiver Exarch Lightning Bolt. All right, well, I'm going to play to my combo and bottom the bolt, take the Deceiver. And then here we'll see if they want to pay for Static Prison. It will die to EE, so they probably shouldn't. But, okay, they did pay. Okay, so unfortunately here I have to let them take the extra energy, or else Flage just kills Murktide. Though, would I rather be at a higher life total? I think I would. Okay, yeah, I'm going to EE now and hope that it distracts them into targeting Murktide with Flage. And then I'll be at 7 instead of less. Okay, cool. They are ignoring it. All right, kill Flage. Are we back? They can escape Flage again next turn, which is lethal. So I actually have to... What can I even do? I have to draw a counterspell. All right, they did gain life this turn, so I'm dead. Oh, how annoying. So many things. Yep. Okay, so what can I do? I can tap Elegant Parlor in their upkeep and hope they don't draw another land to cast Flage with. I think that has to be it. All right, so I can't take even 1 damage here. Tap target permanent opponent controls. And can they one time in the history of the entire universe draw a land? Or no, land kills me now. That doesn't even help. What do I even want? Nothing. It doesn't matter. All right, just dead. Okay. Yeah, that basically we drew that game into a top deck war that they won every single turn, banger after banger after banger. And I had a lethal object in play if I could find a twin and just didn't. Oh well. I mean, that was a good match though. Maybe this deck still exists when you watch this, maybe it doesn't. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play for round 2. I got a bunch of cantrips, decisions to make. I will keep. Okay, so sequencing this is actually kind of interesting. If I just cast Preordain, I could bobble them for information and then Preordain. I could bobble myself, see if I like the card, then either shuffle it away or Preordain into that card. I get to see an extra card if I don't like it, but if I do like it, it's like I didn't bobble, kind of. I think I'm going to bobble them for information about their deck and then Preordain. That makes sense to me. Seasoned Pyromancer. Okay, we're back. We're doing this again. Oh, I will Preordain. It's a lot of lands. I'm going to bottom Misty Rainforest and keep Spirebluff Canal. That gives me pain-free mana to play the game on. The whole conversation, the idea of bans, and I mean, sorry if people don't want to hear this, but it's on my mind right now at the time that I'm recording this. The whole idea of bans in Magic, there was a very long time where bans were a really rare and surprising thing. Like, nothing was banned in Standard between... I'm going to keep all these, by the way. Nothing was banned in Standard between Mirrodin Block and World Wake. That was a huge period of time where, like, cards were just legal. And lately, the past few years, basically since, like, 2019 or so, it's been a lot more like, you know, we expect bans a few times a year in almost every format. And part of that is Wizards of the Coast cranking out more and more products, just the endless velocity towards growth that Hasbro has hung entirely on Wizards of the Coast as their only successful product that they're putting out. And you can be cynical about that, but I mean, it's also just true. Back in the day, we would have a few sets a year and a lot of work would go into them. And now it's, there are more sets every year, and they're printing straight to Modern, and they're printing straight to Legacy. Every set comes with a Commander release product attached to it. It's just a giant, icky mess. I'd have to decide what I'm discarding here. I think it's one of the Spell Snares. That's the most conditional one, and maybe seeing me discard it after they didn't play a 2-drop will embolden them. But we also know they're holding a moderately impactful 3-drop. That's dead. So the ban thing, the combination of more cards need to be banned now because the resources are spread thinner to actually balance formats with the clip that they release cards. But that, on the flip side, has put this idea in people's heads that anytime a deck is good, it must be banned, which is not really fair or accurate or how things should work, because a deck does have to be the best one in any format. I don't know. I don't have a conclusion here. I'm just thinking out loud while I play against Boros Energy again. They discarded a Fable and an Ocelot Pride, so they're probably looking for lands. That's pretty good. I could just ram a giant Murktide in right now. I have instants to play. Sorceries are harder to come by. But do I want this thing? How big do I want this thing? All right, I have 3 card types in the graveyard across 2 cards. The next instant I play gets me back to Delirium. If this immediately gets put in a static prison, it's not great. But I have made them react to me. No way, Jose. All right, I don't know if they just found that or if they were trying to dance around Spell Snare, but Either way, the card gets the spell snare out of my hand one way or another. So double spelling on a turn makes some sense. Here's Big Ajani. I can cook Ajani now, or I can wait. If I get myself Hellbent, which is not really the goal, but if I draw a land or something I can play next turn, Fear of Missing Out is actually card advantage. I think I am going to kill this Ajani right now before it can wake up. Preordain, Otawara, Scalding Tarn. I don't actually want either of these. Yeah, it's bottom. Counterspell. I do want that. Okay. That does make the Fear of Missing Out not castable, but if I'm holding up Counterspell and have them dead in 2 turns, I'll take it. Another one of these. I think at this point I am on counter or removal spell for Murktide and leave everything else alone. Business. Because now this is my plan to win and it's in reach. They can attack me for 3. They're not winning this race. Or 4. This is a 2-1. Attack me for 4 with 3 creatures. And if this counterspell can get me to a spot where I can just draw one of my lightning bolts and win, that's a good spot to be in. Well, use it or lose it on that one. Okay, Murktide and Lightning Bolt are draws that win me the game immediately. I'd be happy with a counterspell. Splinter Twin does not win me the game immediately, unfortunately. I think I am going to cast FOMO. I'm running out of clever things to do here, and Splinter Twin is not one of them. Oh, God. Well, I can go off next turn if that's still in my hand with the FOMO. Okay, opponents at 2. They've got 1 card that they've been holding in their hand for a while, and whatever they draw randomly right now. They've got 7 damage across 5 attackers. They have Arena of Glory. Something like Goblin Bombardment will have a massive impact on this board. Seasoned Pyromancer's in the graveyard, but I don't care about that. Their removal can kill Fear of Missing Out, even without the help of any energy boosters. I think I'm going to block an Elemental Token if everything attacks here. Or they're not going to attack with a Johnny, but okay. Yeah, I'm not going to let them flip a Johnny. They've got a spell. Seasoned Pyromancer. All right, they're spinning the wheel. They did not have a useful card, but they do get 2 rips. That was Guide of Souls discarded. I think I actually do lose immediately to Goblin Bombardment here. Static Prison doesn't beat me because they have to take Murktide and then I twin out. Oh, don't do it. Come on! Fudge my life. Okay, yeah, this is way more than 11 damage. Maybe they'll get Tunnel Vision and kill Murktide instead of my face. It's even more frustrating knowing that this was a random draw off of a Seasoned Pyromancer. Like, they were actually dead and had nothing helpful, and then the spin. But, I mean, that's how card selection works. There's nothing to really say about that. All right. Engineer Explosives comes in. Last time I did not mess around with Tormod's Crypt or Consigned in Memory. Consigned can counter in a Johnny flip or a Flage trigger. That sounds really bad. I don't want a lot of graveyard hate, but even 1 to take out the first round of flaging sounds kind of useful. Oh, there is 1 Spell Pierce in this deck. I didn't even notice. Has that been there the whole time? I thought I had 3 Spell Snares. Weird. Okay, well, there is a Spell Pierce in my deck. That's cool. I think that is coming out. Spell Snare is much better. A lot of their deck is creatures. I should have ordered this out last round as well. So that gives me the 2 explosives. Do I want 1 Tormod's Crypt? It would probably have to replace a twin. And they did see me discard a twin, so they know what I'm doing here. All right, I am going to try 1 crypt. Fiddle with the numbers here. All right, well, I mean, this is what cantrips are for. How many lands are actually in my deck? 20 lands plus 3 baubles after boarding 1 out. 3 more preordains. I'm going to keep. I think I have to get Steam Vents, though, because Unholy Heat's my backup plan if I miss a land drop. Steam Vents. Preordain. We did it. Top. Basically 2 great cards. My next lane is going to be an important one, but we at least unlock the Expressive Iteration for turn 3 and can continue playing. Tap land, let's go. Okay. I was worried about them sneaking a Ragavan or an Ocelot Pride or something in under here, and then Counterspell's not up next turn, but we got through it. Pass. The Tormod's Crypt I brought in obviously doesn't draw a card like Bauble does, but it does trigger DRC. It does give me an artifact for Delirium. There's a lot to like about that existing. A land is my best draw by a mile here. Splinter Twin, worst draw. All right, we've got an EI. Cool. Okay, Bauble to hand. Murktide to the bottom. Exile Otawara. Play Otawara. Play Bauble. They're probably gonna surveil in the end step, so I'm gonna wait on Bobble. Yep, there it goes. If they just didn't do it, if they valued not selecting more than me not bobbling, got the Entomb, dumped a Flage for freezies. Entomb, a card that is not legal in Modern and might be illegal in Legacy by the time we see this. They drew a Mountain. Blood Moon gets me pretty good here. I don't know if they leave those in versus Izzet decks, though. Guide of Souls resolves. Want to try your luck against Spell Snare? Please don't. I don't have it. Shit. Alright, well. Never punished. They're in there. I can clean this stuff up with my removal spells, but yeah, with 6 cards in hand, it doesn't make a lot of sense to play Scared of Spell Snare. I'm sure they can spend mana for the rest of the game, and it's fine. Oh, deck! The biggest middle finger imaginable has just been waved in my direction. Okay, I am going to cook a Johnny while I can. The cool thing is, they now know I don't have Spell Snare, but I actually do. I would have preferred to have it last turn, but them testing it, me failing that test, and then immediately having it for the next round is pretty sweet. Guide of Souls number 2. Alright, well, that comes in. I can respond with Lightning Bolt to them buffing something with the first Guide of Souls. That is a targeted ability. Okay, attacking with these. Would you like to pay 3 energy? Looks like no. Alright, I'm going to take my 3. Haha! My patience paid off. I had it the whole time. You played into my trap. And alright, I'll go to my turn. I'm not bolting anything because they did smartly leave their energy in the bank. Alright, here I can Exarch and Counterspell. Yeah, I'm just going to pass. 5 mana. Big swing. Energy being conserved. Alright, I'm going to play my Exarch here and untap my Spire Bluff Canal. This is open to any instant speed removal. Untap target permanent I control. That's fine, they were going to have that anyway. But we flushed it out in combat in a spot that might not be optimal for them. And I take my 4, 10 life left. And Flage is just sitting there in the graveyard. It sucks ass. They can play it this turn, but I am showing Counterspell, and I just showed them that I care about having 2 mana and not 1. Like, I could have tapped their Elegant Parlor or tapped down one of their attackers if I wasn't worried about having 2 mana. End step. Nothing. Go to my turn. Alright, let's do it again. Same turn. Trying to be relentless here with the... I gotta turn it around because they have really patiently... Oh, they don't have 3 energy right now. That's cool. Okay, they've exerted. Are they going for Flage? That would actually be great. They can't with the 4 cards. There we go. Now they can go for Flage. And unlike the previous game, dealing with it once deals with it for a long time because they don't just have 10 cards in their graveyard already. Alright, Deceiver Exarch. Untap my land, counterspell this. Counterspell. And I'm all in. 2 cards in their hand. They don't have 3 energy to buff anymore. I think if they attack... Oh, wow. They just believe me that I have Splinter Twin. They don't even want to play the game out. Okay, cool. Wait, did I board wrong? These are supposed to be in. What the hell did I do? Chat, why didn't you tell me? I did not bring in my Engineered Explosives, apparently. Just the best card. I just brought in Tormod Script. Okay, what did I miss? One of the baubles. You're supposed to help me out there, chat. Okay, here we go. Now I've sideboarded correctly. Hopefully we farmed some solid engagement from all of you going to the comments to tell me I forgot to sideboard. Okay, so I draw 4 cards before I miss a land drop here. I'm going to keep. There's recently been an uptick. Like, it's weird after creating content for 6 years and the slogan for my channel being Island Ponder Keep. There's been a big uptick in comments lately of people criticizing me for keeping 1-landers with cantrips in them. And these are part of your mana base. If you're mulling hands like this because it has 1 land, why is Mishra's Bauble in your deck? Why is Preordain in your deck? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, maybe I look at 4 cards and miss, but it's unlikely, and also it is foolish to be worried about that. Windswept Teeth on top of their deck. I think I'm going to bobble them twice right now because there are spell snares in my deck, even though I'm not seeing a second card. I do have useful draws. Spell Snare, Lightning Bolt, Unholy Heat. Bunch of hits here. Bubble number 1. Bubble number 2. There we go. There's the land. And you would have mulliganed this, random commenter. But unfortunately, they do have Oscillate Pride, which is the card that can solo a game on turn 1. Like Guide of Souls, you have time against, even Ragavan. I'm more scared of Oscillate Pride than I am of Ragavan. A card that I've not seen out of either of my opponents in now 6 games, so maybe they're off it. Maybe the Voice of Victory has just replaced it. Voice of Victory would cook me here, by the way. All right, well, they have the engine online. I don't have the Spell Snare, clearly. Look at this, and you were going to mulligan the hand. Hypothetical person who doesn't really exist. All right, I could tap out for FOMO, try to absorb some of this damage. I think I want to do that, actually. Discard a Twin. Yeah, discard a Twin. That's really good for Delirium, and it makes them think I'm not working towards that. And then next turn I can start holding up Deceiver or Counterspell, whichever makes more sense. This is the important turn that if they have Voice of Victory here, I think I lose on the spot. Oh, okay. Tear, killing Fear of Missing Out, that's fine. If I hadn't looted away the Twin, I wonder if they would have torn that. They're up to 3 creatures now. When they have 4, I have a problem. All right, lots of mana. I think I have to pass here and try to do something in combat. Yeah, the Oscillate Pride just building out 4 permanents that can be Goblin Bombarded. Not great. Okay, I'm going to get another basic island. And I have to Exarch. I think I'm going to tap their Sacred Foundry, which tells them I don't have something I want to do. But I don't have something I want to do. And I'd prefer if they don't drop some powerful 3-drop. I'm going to tangle with the Pride. I know it has first strike. I know there are things that could go wrong here, but this is the problem right now. They've gained a life successfully. Do they have a burn spell to finish this off before the remaining damage gets done? Nope, just one to my face. I'll friggin' take it. Deal, 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 deal. I'm sold. And now if they tap out for something like Voice of Victory, I win. Guide of Souls, don't care. 2 cards left in their hand. They don't have any energy. 1 card left. Wear Tear gets me. Thraben Charm gets me. With Goblin Bombardment, the Discharge gets me as well. But I have Ascend here, and they're sitting on 1 card. Okay, this is actually becoming interesting. If I hit my next several land drops, I can protect with Counterspell. Or I can just bet that they don't have it here. But if they do have it, it's not good. Have they missed a land drop? It's turn 4. They've not missed a land drop. They aggressively wear-teared the FOMO, but that was to push damage. That's not necessarily information. They need 1 point of damage somewhere. The Goblin Bombardment's just so good that, yeah, I'm going to send. There's a lot of things that beat me here, but there's a lot of things that don't, and I'm going to see what I can try to make happen. There we go. All right, yeah, just deducing what they didn't have. Like, they didn't kill the Deceiver in combat or in the end step when it had a damage on it, and they also didn't save their Oscillate Pride, so this feels pretty safe here. As far as, you know, like, Wear Tear wouldn't have saved them, but any removal spell does. Cool. All right. We'll do it. We split them against Boros Energy in 6 exciting games. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 3, another Bauble 1-lander, and I am going to keep, unfortunately my opponent has revealed Kahira, which is primarily in the blue-eye control deck as a companion, which Sai identified as basically the worst matchup we have. Bauble myself here. I'm looking for lands. Dragon's Rage Channeler is not a land. Bauble. Fetch. Thundering Falls. Ugh. Well, I'm not going to try to deceive this opponent anyway. I'm going to pass. They'll probably surveil in their end step, but I don't mind going in their upkeep if they don't. There we go. Thundering Falls. Okay, so if they are blue-white, there's a splash. This could be actual, like, Omnath Elementals or just something totally different. Like, that's not a Triome or a blue-white land, which is interesting. I bobble you. Hallowed Fountain. Jeskai confirmed. I draw 2 cards here. Mistrise Village. Probably pretty good against some of the stuff they're doing. Mystic Gate. Okay, so they're representing Counterspell all of a sudden. Mountain Pass. Hitting land drops is going to be basically this entire game for both sides. I could have had Counterspell here, but I was trying to represent, or trying to hide the Mistrise and getting punished immediately. That's alright, I'm not planning on drawing cards for a while. Yeah, that was just there, though. Sometimes these decks have Field of Ruin in them, but I don't think this is so important. I should have hit it from at the expense of Counterspell. And I'm not Delirious, so I can't kill Narset here. I could have double burnt it, but I don't want to do that. Okay, I am getting Delirium here. This is awkward because I want to heat Narset. Once again getting cooked by playing this land. Because if I EI into a land, I want to play that land drop. That's the best way to get 2 cards off of this. But if I miss on a land, then this is the sequence that gets me to Unholy Heat. All right, I'm going to EI. Bet on red. And failed. Holy shit. All right, well, I'm getting fully punished by decisions I made. Lightning Bolt to my hand. Preordained to the bottom. Exile a Splinter Twin, because I can't play it anyway. Here's this card. I can bobble them. I get 1 card per turn. And this draw will happen on their turn. Gaia Reach Sanitarium. All right, we're almost in the lock here. I hope they don't just slam a Days Undoing. But if they do, I deserve it. Okay, the 1 outer. Narset activate. They realize I have Delirium, so there's no reason to leave it on more than that. Hitting land drops, love it. Okay, Narset currently doesn't matter anymore. If they activate Gaia Reach Sanitarium, I'll kill Narset in response. There it goes. Unholy Heat. Bolts could still go face, so I'm being patient around that. All right, we each draw and discard. I will loot away Splinter Twin. They discarded Days Undoing. Okay, so they did have it. That Spell Pierce actually saved my life. There's the Hallowed Fountain we saw in turn 1, finally being deployed. They shocked it in. Cool. Now we can see if the get low part of the deck will deliver the goods. Just play Dragon's Rage Channeler. I could make it uncounterable, but I think I'd rather have my mana up. Making my future counterspells uncounterable is now something I can do with 4 mana. Little sloppy start, but we're starting to recover. Galvanic Discharge. All right, that's what they're doing with the red. That's not my fight. I know they have a combo kill. They have a bunch of busted Planeswalkers in their deck that mess me up. Chase the Mind Sculptor. I don't think so. Spell Pierce from the top rope. They were ready to Spell Snare a counterspell, but my Mistrise Village would have pushed that through anyway. I am not going to fetch because I do want to hit land drops. Cool. Now I could slide this Murktide in. Seems as good a chance as any, though I can't make counterspell uncounterable if I play Murktide because I have this basic mountain involved. That's a tough decision. All right, I am going to wait. I can make Murktide uncounterable in the future. I don't need to play around this counterspell specifically. I'm down to 1 Splinter Twin in the deck. Here I'm going to crack one of these fetches because I am a little bit less interested in hitting a land drop now. Yeah, I'm in spell mode now. Let's fetch. With 4 cards in hand, enough mana to do 2 or 3 things in a turn. Pass. They have Inevitability, which is making me a little nervous here, but I'll discard Misty Rainforest. They're looting in the end step. I just need to get something through and I need it to stick. There's Wrath of the Skies discarded. Hallowed Fountain taking the shock. Steam Vents. Are they going to loot again? Am I okay losing Unholy Heat? Steam Vents. I will take the damage. This matchup's not going to be about damage. At least not on my side. It will be on their side. Beg to Fairy. Okay. I will make my next spell uncounterable and then counter this. Mistrise Village looking pretty good right now. The fun of just shrugging off face-up counterspells in their deck and in their hand. Expressive Iteration. I should make that uncounterable. That spell stare sitting in their hand, looking real good. A counterspell to my hand. Heat to the bottom. Exile Flooded Strand. Value, baby. I wonder how realistic it is for them to deck me if I'm not careful here. And there's a combo somewhere in my deck, right? Island. There is just basic mountain left of fetchables here. Oh, let's go. The crushing inevitability of Mysterized Village. This rules. This is a card I was pretty excited about off the spoiler and basically haven't had any opportunity to play with. Right, EI to hand, Lightning Bolt to the bottom, exile Preordain. It's just the most mana efficient play here. DRC Spire Bluff. I'm going to go top and hit my land drop. One of the few lands left in my deck that I can play. End step fetch. Archive. The red appears to be a light splash here. I kept a card on top. Celestial Colonnade. Oh, win con. Oh no. Alright. This is 7 cards in my hand. I'm just going to play Dragon's Rage Channeler. See if they want to engage me in the marketplace of ideas around that one. And I'm going to hold my mana for a turn. I can make EI uncounterable next turn, but they've done so much here that I feel like making a counterspell uncounterable or making Unholy Heat uncounterable to kill this Colonnade are going to be priorities in the near future. They're just passing to me. I have 24 cards left in my deck. The basic mountain is still in there. Next spell's uncounterable. EI. I'll still take card advantage. I'm not that worried about getting decked. Okay, Murktide to hand. Preordain, or Scalding Tarn to the bottom, exile Preordain. I'm going to fetch first because I don't want to put 2 cards on the bottom and then just shuffle them back in with a fetch land. All right, counterspell. That's fine. 1 less card that will deck me. And counterspell gone from their hand. And this Mysterized Village has them in the spot where they're casting counterspell on Preordain when I already have 6 cards in hand. That's pretty sweet. A bauble. I think I would like to know what they're drawing. Monumental Henge. That is a powerful card advantage engine. I think I should try to put a creature into play here. Next spell's uncounterable. Oh, Schmirko. What do we got in here? Splinter Twin. Some lands. I expect them to answer this, which is why I'm making it medium size. I'm going to make it 4/4 so it doesn't just die to Galvanic Discharge. But if a Teferi bounces this or a Solitude eats it, that's something we can play through. And the second one can grow the first one if this somehow just stays in play. Here's Solitude. I'm going to start a fight that I might not be able to win. Or no, I'm going to Unholy Heat this. This is why I did this way. This is why I made a little guy. Unholy Heat the Solitude. Alright, I gained a bunch of life. And we are looting. I'm going to discard, I think, Spell Snare. And the Lightning Bolts could be a way out of this. Fear of missing out. They might actually deck me. Depends on how rowdy they get with this Monumental Henge. Otawara. Not useful at the moment. They still have that friggin' Spell Snare. Do I want to loot away Otawara? Maybe. Alright. Next spell's uncounterable. Fear of missing out. Probably should have just tapped 2 basic mountains for that. Discard Otawara. Deceiver Exarch. Something's happening here. Looted away a Terminus. Yeah, that's fine. All right, the Henge is going. They can look at the top 5 cards and put a historic card into their hand. Narset is a pretty historic card. The Spell Snare currently works on my counter spell, so Narset's in. Activate. Galvanic Discharge. Okay, they don't have any energy in the bank. This is all 4 discharges. I am going to end step Bolt Narset. See if we can shake some interaction loose here. Nope, just taking the 2 for 1. Okay. Murktide. I'm going to cast this without making it uncounterable. There we go. A big O. As large as they get. Okay, that's fine. This is the fight I signed up for. I think making Deceiver Exarch or Counterspell uncounterable is going to be a better way to play the game. I'm sandbagging this land. It doesn't fetch anything, and if they Sanitarium, it's a good hit. I missed on the Henge. Yeah, there is 1 Splinter Twin left in my deck that I'm playing to right now. Spell Snare, not the worst. They're henging. I think this Henge is probably going to bury me. Keeps whiffing, though. There's a fetch that just shuffled all the cards they've put to the bottom lately. Back into the deck. Dumped a Spell Snare. Sick. Alright. Patience rewarded on this blue to Delta. We're going to get to turn it into a card. They've discarded multiple Terminuses. Dragon's Rage Channeler and Fear of Missing Out. All right, I'm going to play Dragon's Rage Channeler. That'll eat the Galvanic Discharge that they're showing. I don't want to loot away any of the cards, so I can't play Fear of Missing Out. 12 cards left in my deck. We got to thread the needle here. I think I'm getting cooked, but I am going to play it out. Teferi is a nightmare scenario, so I will uncounterably counterspell that. There goes DRC. Teferi. Next spell's uncounterable. Counterspell. If they've been sandbagging a double payoff turn, this is a great time to deploy it. Narset's in. Am I dead? Have you found the Days Undoing since the last conversation we had about this? Terminus. All right, that one's fine. Bolt Narset. Fear of Missing Out. Spell Snare going to be a good card. All right, I will... Oh, they have the Spell Snare in their hand, so I have to make this uncounterable. Fear of Missing Out. I'll dump my Spell Snare. All right, well, there it is. This is now the game that we're going to play. Uncounterable Exarch, uncounterable Twin, and hope they don't have a removal spell left. Narset is not good for me. They discarded Days Undoing earlier. I don't know how many they play. I'm also in the Gaia Reach Sanitarium, which is not good. If they Days Undoing, decking is no longer a win con, though. But they will have 7 cards to my 0, or my 1. Counterspell, okay. That's a card I can beat. This looks like a Solitude coming in. Oh, Wrath of the Skies. Yep, that works too. Okay, uncounterable Exarch, uncounterable Twin is the plan. Okay, getting a bullet on Narset here is nice. I am just going to pass. They are passing the turn. How many Exarchs are left? I think there's still an Exarch in my deck. Next spell's uncounterable. Exarch. I'm going to tap their Gaia Reach Sanitarium or Celestial Colonnade. I think it's Colonnade. Tap target, Celestial Colonnade. They'll probably Sanitarium in my upkeep, or in my draw step is the right time to do it. Okay. Now I could just move to combat and attack them for one, see what they want to do. They would need Solitude to beat me here, but that is a card they play. This is my last twin. All right, I'm just going to attack them. Attack your life points directly. And play Dragon's Rage Channeler. Trying to flush out counter spells where I can. Right, here's the Sanitarium. Gonna make Unholy Heat uncounterable and kill Narset. DRC. Land. I mean, decking is not something I get to consider anymore. We're just going. Well, that was probably my best draw in the whole deck. Okay, here we go. We're in. We're in like Donkey Kong, as they say. I'm pretty sure that's what they say. Monumental Henge. I know there's a Terminus in their hand. Henge missed. Oh, there's a Terminus on top of their deck, too. That was randomly generated. This puts Deceiver to the bottom of my deck. This is not something I can afford to counter. This is a really cool game. Okay, so the second last card in my deck is Deceiver Exarch, which means I have 1 turn to deploy it and then twin before I'm decked. Which gets a lot worse when we consider that they can Gaia Reach Sanitarium me. Oh, but I have another Exarch in here still, I believe. Yeah, I think 2 of the cards in my deck are Exarchs. 1 second from the bottom and 1 closer than that. Brain Surge. That sets up a Terminus, but is mostly fine, I think. Brain Surge, Hall of Storm Giants. All right, they might actually try to win. That's not fair. Have to discard the hand size. We got him. There's Exarch. Speaking of we getting them. If they activate Henge, it'll clear everything they just set up. All right. Gaia Reach Sanitarium, discard Spire Bluff Canal. There are 4 cards in my deck. They can force me down to 2. Yeah, I just have to go for it this turn. Uncounterable Exarch, uncounterable Twin, and then a counterspell to back it up. End step, uncounterable, Deceiver Exarch, tap target permanent opponent controls. How about Celestial Colonnade? Go to my turn. Preordain. I could take the time to figure out what this actually gets. It could get the second Deceiver. I'd have 2 cards left in my deck. They could loot it to 1 and then kill me in my next draw step. I guess I'm dead anyway, right? Yeah, I think I'm going to Preordain here. I lose this turn anyway. Someone's about to die. Preordain, Deceiver Exarch, Dragon's Rage Channeler is the card I'm not looking at. Okay, so bottom, top, and do I have enough mana to Mistrise Village twice this turn? I don't think so. Maybe. All right, hold on. I can village twice, but can't then cast the counterspell. All right, well, what a battle this has been. Path to Exile. What a dick card to have. All right, counterspell, then I lose. GG. All right, there's that spell snare that's been in the hand since the start of the game. All right, maybe they'll do something that deals 7 damage to themselves somehow. All right, I'll discard Preordain. Looting. Discard Dragon's Rage Channeler. They knew about that one. And then I'm dead. Okay, very sweet game. Terrible matchup. But now we get to do the juke. Splinter Twins out, Ragavan's in. Deceiver Exarch. These don't really matter if you're not twinning. That's not a good card. Magus of the Moon actually does look pretty effective against some of their stuff, like the Gaia Reach Sanitarium, the 3-color mana base, the Monumental Henge, the various creature lands. All are affected here. Unholy Heat does hit their Planeswalkers. Consign to Memory I don't think does anything. I could counter a Terminus trigger. That's what Consign does. Engineered Explosives I don't think does anything. Tormod's Crypt doesn't matter. Yeah, I think this is just the plan. This package out, this package in. All right, let's go. That was an awesome game for Mysterized Village, though. We wouldn't have even been pretending to play that game as long as we did without that. But to be clear, we were pretending most of that match. I think this is too many Unholy Heats. Can I get it in time? All right, we did it. I'm going to leave one Deceiver in. So if they see a large percentage of my deck again, this is something I can leverage. Maybe I should have more like this. Okay, this is not a good card, but the implications of it are good. Like showing them that I have one at some point in a game is powerful, because then they have to think about getting comboed at all times. This is not a one-lander I'm going to keep. Normally I'm into this, but I can't preordain on one. Does that matter? I think it does. I'm going to mulligan. All right, this is different enough. I'm going to keep and bottom, I think, one of the preordains. And I'm going to go Steam Vents Dragon's Rage Channeler here. So applying this pressure is good, and preordain gets better if I have DRC in play. You're going to get me with the red splash? Yeah. These Galvanic Discharges, which may or may not be the only red cards in their deck, doing a lot of work. Just got to find land number 2, and then we're playing the game just fine from there. Bad news, everybody. Bottom. Easy, easy. Unfortunately, Spell Snare is very good at what I plan to do moving forward. Gotta send it, though. Yeah, this is a way that this can spiral out quickly. Especially my sideboard plan is built to kind of snowball the Dragon's Rage Channelers, the Ragavans, the Fear of Missing Outs, and if I just don't have a creature in play, then they can take their time doing whatever they want. If they tap out for Teferi here, stranding 3 counterspells in my hand, that's basically Mind Twist. Looks like they got something for 3. This game might be a lot faster than the other one. Oh, they just bought Kahira. Awesome. Deal. That makes me think that they have Solitude. All right, I'm still going to EI here. All right, this is pretty good. Ragavan to my hand. Dragon's Rage Channeler to the bottom. Exile Mishra's Bauble. Play the Bauble. Hit my land drop. Dashing Ragavan is something that could be useful. I'm going to bobble them. Path to Exile. All right, well. Now I know I don't need to dash Ragavan because it's going to die anyway. Right, Ragavan on the Stackavan. They saw literally my whole deck game 1, and this card wasn't in it. Unfortunately, the deck I did show them, it does still mean they want removal. But ramping me is never free when you're a control deck. Jace the Mind Sculptor. All right, are we going to bounce Ravioli? Could just Brainstorm here, or plus. Like, all the modes of Jace work here. All right, just a Brainstorm, which means they can set up what I get with Ragavan. This would be a big turn to draw Lightning Bolt, I'll be honest. Okay, they're just... Yeah, pitching the Kahira. The Solitude read was correct. All right, Lightning Bolt or Bust is what I need here. Spell Snare. Nope, that's not it. Okay, we've probably lost. But I'm going to play it out. My hand remains pretty interactive if I can get anything going. They're probably just going to hit every land drop for the rest of time now. I'll get my Surveil land. I have these Blood Moons in my deck and just can't afford to fetch a basic ever. And I'm going to dash Ragavan. This does put some squeeze on what they can do to interact with this. Like, Wrath of the Sky is not a thing. Stern Scolding is definitely a thing. I mean, I got this handful of counter spells. Let's use one. Okay, do they want to ramp me or do they want to take the hit? Celestial Purge. None of the above. Saving that Path to Exile, which may or may not even be in their hand because they get to brainstorm every turn. Now the coast is clear if they want to slam Big Teferi or Narset or whatever they got. Sai, you were right. This matchup feels really bad. Sanitarium. Okay. They are at 9.5 minutes on their clock if they don't plus the Jace at some point. We've got a win con. Rockrun Triome. Bobble. Hell yeah. Show me your secrets. Terminus is a secret. All right, so they are floating a Terminus around over there. Channeler. We did it. A threat. Something that'll force them to use this Terminus or one of the other 6 cards in their hand. Channeler. We're in there. Terminus me. Come get it. They could Sanitarium to Terminus in the end step as well. Brain Surge. That works too. Okay, there's Terminus. I'm not countering any of these spells. My only practical hope in this game is to draw one of my Lightning Bolts before they plus Jace, and then fight over that Lightning Bolt. Still brainstorming. The Henge. Narset. Counter. That card does lock me out of the game. I don't think I'm going to win this fight, but we got to try. Counter Narset again. Wow, okay. We actually did win that fight. Cost me 2 counter spells. But at least I'm not hard locked. Alright, Jace. Can you eat shit? Wow, we did it. We've broken loose. Now we're just dead to Guy Reach Sanitarium plus Monumental Henge value. But at least the Jace is gone. That also removes their onboard win con. Like in the next 8 minutes, they do have to deal 14 damage to me somehow. Oh, well, that's really good. Now I'm locked. I will never concede. Backup Narset. They didn't Sanitarium in my draw step. Do they not know how this works, or do they need this mana for something else? Because if you activate Sanitarium in the draw step, then I've already drawn a card for turn and there's nothing I can do. I think they're over well enough that it doesn't matter, but it was weird to wait. This is the last real draw I get for the game. All right, so they're looting that away. Now I am fully locked out. I don't get to draw on my draw step because they did this already, and now I don't get to draw cards ever again. The game is over, but I'm going to give them their 7 minutes to present a way to actually win. Sorry for the miserable content from here on out. All right, Celestial Colonnades will do it. All right, they delivered quickly. Yeah, that matchup was warned that it would be terrible, and it felt terrible the whole time. On to the next round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with The Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
On the draw for round 4, I'm going to keep my hand does stuff. It's funny that we played against Blue-White after being warned that the matchup's horrendous, because that is the 20th most played deck on MTG Goldfish for 1.4% of the metagame. Honestly, when Sai warned me about that, my internal thought was like, that shouldn't come up. But guess what? It did. Bottoming 2 lands off this Preordain because I'm good on those, and hit another land anyway. Opponent's doing something with a bunch of mana rocks in it. There is the Jeskai Ascendancy combo that this could be. Could be some Urza or Affinity deck. I don't think Affinity plays fetch lands, though, so I think we're safe from that. Underworld Breach is banned. Urza Saga is not. Tamiyo's pretty good. I am going to have to kill this Tamiyo before it's a problem. I'm going to Preordain first. Ooh, okay. I'm going to bottom snare, top Exarch. Got to get out of here somehow. Okay, I'm going to bolt Tamiyo in their upkeep. Bobbling me. So right now, Mox Opal is off. Bolt Tamiyo. If they do anything about this, then they don't get to make constructs. All right, Metallic Rebuke. So they're valuing Tamiyo over a construct. I'll take that. Scalding Tarn with 2 cards left in hand. They did shock that in. This could be another Metallic Rebuke because they're about to generate an artifact to tap for that. Okay, Thoughtcast to flip Tamiyo. That works too. I can kill Tamiyo this turn. Ooh. All right. We've got another setup here. All right, I'm going to kill Tamiyo now. I have to discard... Oh, shit. I can't kill Tamiyo now. I would have to discard Deceiver, Exarch, or Splinter Twin to do that. God, Tamiyo just KO Splinter Twin? Fudge. That is not fun or interesting. Shit. That sucks really bad. Okay, so what do I need to do here? I need to FOMO into a Mishra's Bauble. I still think I'm better off trying to go for this and working my way through the Tamiyo than not doing that. Hey, play to your outs. Bang. Mox Amber, that's a brick. Steam Vents in. Unholy Heat the Tamiyo for 6. Nice. All right. Found the line. They do get to make a Fudge Enormous construct here, but I am slowly ticking into uncounterable Splinter Twin combo. I need one more land before that comes online. Oh, I also just have Twin on FOMO. They could tutor Graveyard Hate here, or a removal spell like Aether Spellbomb. But if they tap out, I got him. All right, I don't got him. Graveyard Hate it is. Taking my land. That is the easiest to replace. I probably would have gone for Artifact myself. I mean, they can take the whole graveyard at any point. But land... Don't want to call it a freebie, because I have actually not had land in my graveyard a couple times, but it is one of the easier ones because of fetch lands. Thoughtcast, reloading. Another Thoughtcast, oh no. I just worked their resources down low. All right. Lotus Pedaling out an Opal here. Okay, so they're just representing 1 mana with that Opal, which does include the... Oh, sick. Mistrise Village. Next spell's uncounterable. Slam Murktide over top of this Soul Guide Lantern. Hell yeah, that was sweet. Yeah, like earlier I thought they were representing Metallic Rebuke with that clue sequence that they did. And the Mox Opal would also tell that same story. And Mistrise Village, legend. Legend in our heart. Not actually a legendary card, though. You could play as many of those as you want. Yeah, we might see them just draw a card off Soul Guide at this point in the end step. Yep, there it goes. That lets me start rebuilding Delirium to work towards the twin combo with FOMO. Or I can just work towards this. My plan now is to be patient because I have a 7/7 and they don't. And they happen to be at 13 life, which is 2 hits from a 7/7. There's all 4 Thoughtcasts. Cool. Sorry, I got my Thoughtcast in my hand. Okay, Otawara resetting the Murktide. That is a desperate play that I am a fan of. I think it's the right play, but it costs them a lot of mana. Okay. I'm going to EI. They're not currently showing their counterspell. Oh, this is a turn I can do stuff. All right. Sorcery. Instant artifact. I actually weirdly can't get a land into the graveyard here. That's fine. I would like... Do I want Lightning Bolt or Mishra's Bauble? I think I want Mishra's Bauble. I'm just trying to spin for velocity here. A Bauble in hand, Bolt on the bottom, Exile Island, which is a Season of Survivor for those who partake. Bauble, Bauble you, Flame of Anor. Oh shit, I don't like that card. Bauble, Bauble, Flame, Flame. I guess I will attack for 2, so that's what I can do. And hopefully they use Flame of Anor on Fear of Missing Out, and then I can sneak Splinter Twin in. Little Murktide flooded here, and just going to bleed out to Urza's Saga on the timetable where it's relevant. There's a fetch. Do they have a wizard to go with this flame? In for 4. So I am pretty much dead next turn, and this Flame of Anor is keeping me off comboing. Pushing 1 extra damage now. Might as well. Though, it's not even necessarily true that Flame is keeping me off comboing, because I can also target Fear of Missing Out if I get Delirium. And if they kill Deceiver, then that's a creature in the graveyard. Tap target permanent and opponent controls. Thundering Falls. They have to flame now if they're gonna. Unfortunately, this land coming in tapped means that I can't make uncounterable Splinter Twin. Galvanic Blast. Okay, that's dead. Well, that's a scary card to know about. Holy moly. All right, untapped or fetch land for the win. No! Bummer. Yeah, I don't have an instant in the graveyard, which sucks. If this was an untapped land, I could play Splinter Twin if they try to counter it, counterspell, then sneak a win through. All right, I guess I lose. I can make a 4/4 Murktide Regent and protect it with counterspell. That's not enough. All right. Well, main deck graveyard hate got me there. Meltdowns. Enter my deck. Engineered Explosives looks pretty good too. I don't think I want Consigns, though I could see it. -1 Twin. What did they cast that cost 2 that game? Nothing. I think my spell snares are coming out. I don't think this is a Ragavan matchup. Magus of the Moon. Worse than it used to be against Urza Saga, but if I can catch them early, it does still stop the thing from happening. I think removal matters. I think I'm going to go -1 Murktide and focus more on comboing. Emry is certainly in this deck, right? Does that mean I want Tormod's Crypt? How many heats is the right number? I think I am going to bring in 1 Tormod's Crypt. It's another fast Delirium enabler, and if they have Emrys, that's something I need to worry about. I will keep this hand. I think I've mulliganed it in the past, like this exact hand, but I know this matchup's a little slower. Like, I know what the matchup is, and it lets me chill a little bit. I see 4 cards, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5 cards before I miss a land drop here. Flame of Anor, Tormod's Crypt. I recently rewatched Lord of the Rings, and now having all of these words written down on Magic cards, I was a lot more in tune with what people were saying. Gandalf talks about the Flame of Anor when he's battling the Balrog on the bridge. And Theoden yells 4th Aerlingus twice in the movies. I thought I had never heard those words in my life before Lord of the Rings Magic set came out, but turns out I've watched those movies many times in life, but those words just never registered to me. They can flip Tamiyo this turn because if they have a mana, because they have the draw from Bauble, and then they can make a clue. They have the mana. I would have been tempted to counterspell a Mox Amber there. Torpor Orb. Okay, I mean, that does make a large aspect of my deck a lot worse. I will counter that. Okay, mana is developing. I could Preordain here. That taps me out of counterspell. All right, I'm going to play Tormod's Crypt and pass. Just get that out there. Now it is a bit harder to flip Tamiyo. Another one. All right. Oh, I mean, I have Meltdowns in my deck. Sure. You can have that one. When I had 2 counterspells and not a lot of mana, it made sense to fight, but now it makes less sense. Splinter Twin. Expressive Iteration. Fear of Missing Out does not trigger on ETB anymore. I think that's okay. It's still a good card. Fear to my hand, Preordain to the bottom, hit my land drop. And pass. Creatures entering don't trigger, but my land still does if I get my Surveil land here. Just having a card like Meltdown in your deck gives you so much insulation against this stuff. Let me make sure I actually boarded them in. That's been an error previously in the league. All right, Emry does not trigger on entry because of their own card. Legal. And the Tormod's Crypt that was in the deck specifically for Emry is in play as they resolve Emry. Unholy Heat. I'm going to take that, and I will choose to fight Emry with it. I don't want to have to crypt them necessarily. I guess I could do this whenever. I could also hit Tamiyo with this. Yeah, I'm more worried about Tamiyo here, actually. All right, 4 damage to Tamiyo. Or 6 damage to Tamiyo from my 4 card types. You know what I meant. I can pay for Metallic Rebuke, or just counter it. Cool. Preordain. Okay, bottom the Bauble, top the land. If they tap Emry, I'll bomb them. That's what it's here for. They can still play Bauble out of their graveyard, but not if it's gone. Got him. I am out of cards that do anything. I'm just sort of like, I have a counterspell and a big dragon left. Bauble. All right, they immediately replaced it, but at least we stopped 1 card with that crypt. Pithing Needle. All right, well, I'll fetch and respawns. Get a Steam Vents. They could name Deceiver Exarch with this, or Fear of Missing Out. Splinter Twin does not have an activated ability. It grants it to the creature. All right, that's not how that works. Yeah, enchanted creature has the ability, so they have to name the creature that they think I would put Splinter Twin on. Hell yeah. All right. Killing Emery right on time here before she starts drawing cards. The Flame of Anor in hand and the Mishra's Bauble face up. Both bad news bears. Bobbling in response. Force of Negation. Wow. Didn't think they'd fight this hard over that. Pitching Vivi or Nitier. That's cool. All right, well, I'm going to go for an uncounterable counterspell here. Emery does have to go. She's turning on a lot of what's going on in this game right now. Opponent's got 4 cards in hand. They've hit their first land drop since turn 2. And shipped it back. Flame of Anor in the bank over there. All right, I'll deploy a Fear of Missing Out. I can pay for a soft counter. If this eats the Flame of Anor 1-for-1, that's fine. They don't have a wizard right now. I am getting 2 combats per turn. Torpor Orb doesn't stop that. Thundering Falls. Found a card they like. And Kraken Clues. Finally, the Tamiyo is affecting the game. That's the scary thing about Tamiyo as a card. It's just like, okay, it's not dealing damage, so I have time. But then once you deal with the things, all those clues are still there. And if you don't deal with them before they unlock, you're in a bad place. All right, well, I can't shove the Splinter Twin because I know they have Flame. I will try attacking for 4. Okay, that works. All right, I can just fully dump out here. All right, another Fear of Missing Out. And I'm going to make an uncounterable Murktide. Island, uncounterable Murktide. I do have to manage my Delirium here. I have 4 instants, so I can eat 3 of those. There is an extra sorcery, and I guess the land's going to go here. Delirium matters, but also getting Murktide over 5 damage matters. Clues feasting over there. If they tap out, they die to Twin, which is interesting, because if they think Pithing Needle works here, they might think Twin is covered. Like if they do something like Flame of Anor plus Galv Blast on Murktide, and this is lethal between the double combat, so they have to deal with at least one of these things. Okay, they did respect the FOMO, but that means Murktide is still in play. Attack for 7. This is half of their life total. I think they'll fetch in the end step. There it goes. All right. That gamble's actually kind of serious because I do really want to draw and get a look at potentially Counterspell or something that seals this game. Emery is the top card of their deck. That does not help. They just used the Flame, which Emery would have turned on. Emery does turn on Mox Amber, so she's like, air quotes, free to cast. Flame of Anor doesn't even kill Murktide, though. Otawara plays here for them. There's Emery. Flame of Anor. All right, so they're going to draw 2 cards. They have shown me a bunch of burn in their deck. They have looks here. Galvanic Blast does it. Bauble. That doesn't matter because if they draw a burn spell from the Bauble on my upkeep, this damage is worn off. Okay, cool. Just Murktide gaming over the top. This deck does lend itself to excellent games. All of these games, even the ones where we've lost, other than, I guess, that game 2 versus Blue-White, that was kind of a slaughter. But other than that, even our game 1 against that horrific matchup was good, but good games so far all around. I don't think Tormod's Crypt makes sense. I think I would rather just Unholy Heat and Emery if it comes out. Like, if these are the same slots, if I'm boarding out a Heat for Tormod's Crypt out of respect for Emery, why don't I just kill Emery? Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I still like only having 2 twins in post board. All right, cool. And we made it through an entire game without them seeing Meltdown. And they think they can Pithing Needle Splinter Twin. So there's a lot of good news. This is clunky, but I am going to keep it. I can fend off an early Emery or Tamiyo, and then I have I get a Surveil land and deck full of cantrips. I choose to believe. And Mysterized Village, I can drop that when it matters. Vents, Tamiyo, Amber, Opal. Okay, they still can't Metallic Rebuke from their current position. They've shown me Force of Negation is a card they play. I am going to blast here. This is just very important, permanent to not be in play, and we got it. If they untap, they can Rebuke. If they force, it'll cost them 2 cards. Just make the play where I can there. The Saga is worrisome. They currently don't have either of these Moxen on, though. If they hit a land drop, it unlocks pretty quick. If they miss this land drop, I'm in business. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, so Emery is in. That's not a land drop. Oh, Corey Steel Cutter. Cool. All right, a card revealed deep into game 3. I love when secrets are revealed late in the match. Okay, they can counter if I heat right now. I don't want this. There's another one in my deck somewhere. I'm going to bin the twin. And here I'm going to Unholy Heat, where I can counter spell a Rebuke. I could have played Mistrise and just made this uncounterable. That's probably a better use of my resources. Small bleed, again. Just very good at bleeding. Either way, I'm tapped out of counterspell next turn, but the other way I actually have counterspell. Emery, though, is very, very important. Turning on that Mox Amber, this Saga is going to die without making a construct. We love that. That also means they're down a land after missing a land drop. We love that too. Soul Guide Lantern is a good call. And the Soul Guide's interesting because Misride Village is an activated ability. Like, if I activate that, they can bomb me in response with Soul Guide. Like, I got them with that in game 1, that sequence, and if they're dialed in, they could just wipe me out. But the Soul Guide Lantern is also turning on half of their mana right now. Wow, they just bombed it. Didn't even float a mana off Opal. Okay, so they don't want to lose to Murktide. Oh, do you want to lose to Meltdown instead? I will pass the turn for now. Now I have a real card, and I can make it uncounterable. This is a whole plan by itself. Corey Steel Cutter resolves Galvanic Blast. All right. The burn plan is revealing itself fully here. They got one card in their hand. I do have to worry about this Prowess Monk a little bit. It's big enough. Iteration. Okay. All right. I can still EI or Meltdown for 2 if I cast EI first, so I'm going to do this. Oh, what a mess. Okay. Auto Warren in my hand. Steam Vents to the bottom. Exile Mountain. And I do have to clear out this Steel Cutter before it cuts all my steel. That's also another spell for this Murktide that I'm sitting on. Bouncing the Monk will eventually be a plan. I'm at 7. Preordain. All right, that's free money. The Murktide will use it for mana. It was sick. Top. Counter spells all around. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Mysterize Village. Activate. Just in case they have Mystical Dispute, I can play around it here. 2 cards in your hand. 6/6 Murktide. About to untap with double counterspell. If they don't do something messed up right now, I like my chances. Tamiyo could qualify. Double counterspell, Otawara. I think I'm just going to pass. I don't like it, but I don't want Tamiyo to start getting all sorts of free money. Bobble. Okay, so Tamiyo can flip next turn if this bobble is used correctly. Oh, they're going now. Are they just trying to push damage? All right, I'm going to block Tamiyo and Otawara the Monk. They're playing like they have a Galvanic Blast in hand, and they're just trying to get me in range. Bounce the Monk, eat the Tamiyo. Emery. They can win this counter war if they have Rebuke. Okay, cool. I think we're over the hump. Bobbling me. At 7, when I know they play multiple 4-point burn spells, not the freest. Lightning Bolt helps. It doesn't change the damage clock, but it does mean I don't have to counterspell things like Emery or Tamiyo. I could just kill them once they're in. I feel ahead right now. They've been to Mountain. There's a clue in play. Torpor Orb. I do not care about that. That's not how I'm going to win. Attack for 6. Okay, they are dead on board, and I have counterspell in my grip, and they're drawing Mox Opal. Splinter Twin. We did it. Mox Opal's there. We saw that one. Cracking the clue, which also incidentally turns off Mox Opal. They're a mana short of Otawara, which is the thing I can interact with. We got the GGs. Okay. They fetched to 4 after giving me the GGs. They want to play it out. I could win with Splinter Twin here by twinning the Murktide and then bolting them after attacking for 3. But I'm not going to goof around. I don't like a GG where they don't actually concede. That's like so suspicious. That's like the arena GG, and then you settle the wreckage them. Okay, that has 2 damage on it. Now we actually win. Sweet. Awesome games throughout this entire league. The play patterns of this deck are a delight, even if Splinter Twin itself is a little wonky. But on to the final round, we've got a positive record to play for. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in the final round, positive record on the line. I'm going to keep this. We have the most Izzet Murktide adjacent hand we've had yet. The sequence here is turn 1 Channeler, turn 2 Channeler, bolt something, surveil, maybe have Delirium. The instant and land are spotted to us here. This is one of those opens where Mishra's Bauble feels like Ancestral Recall. Edge Mace tapped. Oh, is this Amulet? Oh, Sink into Stupor. I'm not sure what this is. Okay, now I don't even feel bad about going face with Lightning Bolt. I was a little worried at first about, like, do I want to just send a bolt? What if they have a creature I need to kill? But now, the burn plan is online. Channeler, Numero Dos. I get 2 Surveils. Hitting Fear of Missing Out gives me immediate Delirium. Another Lightning Bolt. Interesting. All right, I am going to ship past it. And I for sure don't want Scalding Tarn. I did not achieve Delirium. I did move a bunch of cards around, though. Attack. There is a twin in my hand. I haven't given away any indication that I'm doing anything other than Blitz Murktide stuff. I could even be Izzet Prowess with this open. Do I have to play around Ice Fang Coatl? What's going on over there? All right, I've drawn another land. I'm going to play Polluted Delta and attack. If they do flash in some blocker, I can bolt it. Hey, Ice Fang Coatl. There's that guy I said. Okay, I'm going to fetch here for my Surveil land first. Flood a Strand into the graveyard. Bolt the Coatl. Just slanging it here. All right, enchantment to the graveyard. They now know I'm a Splinter Twin deck, but I don't want that. Spell Pierce, I don't want that. Still no Delirium, but we are pushing. What is this deck in 2025 with an Ice Fang Coatl in it? I'm honestly really excited. Harbinger of the Seas. Not ideal. I have the fetch land in my hand. Oh no. Well, this is the wrong Blood Moon, so I can't even cast Splinter Twin for the Surveils. If I attack, I get Delirium. I think it's better to hold, though. Well, that's annoying. That could have been played around. I was not ready for main deck Harbinger of the Seas, I'm not going to lie. There are 2 mountains in my deck. There are baubles. There are lots of blue cards. Just Preordain here goes completely insane. Deceiver Exarch, how about that one? I think I should hold the Exarch. Maybe they counter it and I get Delirium. I don't know, maybe I am supposed to play it there. I just don't know what they're doing. I'm fascinated. Mono blue, but also some green cards. All right, I'm going to end step this Exarch. If they counter this, that's great. They're taking 6. If they don't counter this, it's in play, and it's something that they have to think about. Well, that one's way better. All right, I'm sending Exarch to the bottom. I really want just a Preordain or a Bauble here. Yeah, having surprising cards in your main deck has Brewer's advantage, as we call it. They are missing green mana, if that is something they actually need to win. Pond Prophet, oh my god. I'm so excited. I don't know what's going on, but I'm into it. Fibblethip the Lost, wow. Okay. Subtlety is coming in for the pressure. Oh my god, that's the card I wanted. All right, here we go. This is Delirium because it's a sorcery, whether anything else happens or not. I get roughly 5,000 looks at Basic Mountain here. Basic Island's not the one. Murktide Preordain. Okay, these cards are good. I'm going to go top, and attack for 6. They are unfortunately showing Counterspell, but this Murktide is still just one of the better cards I could ever have. I'm leaving Delirium in the graveyard, playing a 5/5. Flare of Denial, sacking Fibblethip. Okay. Drawing Preordain next turn. I am winning this damage race. Yeah, getting the Murktide in when it costs them a creature feels good. And here we go, another look at 85 cards. Preordain. I will keep Preordain. Just keep this train going. The train on the way to Basic Mountain. All right, bottom Splinter Twin, top Preordain. Another Dane. Mishra's Bauble. I don't want that anymore. Preordain's better. Counterspell. Am I winning a game where I have Counterspell? So if I attack here, They block, they go to 5, they hit me back, I'm at 7. I actually do want counterspell. Bottom DRC, take counterspell, attack for 6. They're going to take their trade and go to 5. I'm on a 4-turn clock, they're on a 2. But they have 5 cards in hand. I got to fend off removal and flyers. Here come these jerks. They might be, to some degree, stuck under their own Harbinger. Like, that green mana is in their deck for a reason. Bottom, no red. Bottom. Otawara, okay. That plays extremely well here. I can clear the Harbinger, which I don't even think I want to do, because I think they're stuck under it more than I am. Okay, they're going to attack me to 4, and they have to get a removal spell or a blocker in between Counterspell and Otawara. All right, we've passed to my turn. If they have their own Otawara, that's really good. Attack. Sink into Stupor. Counterspell. Fear of missing out into the graveyard. Moment of Truth. Oh my god, what a beat. Okay, that was scary, and I don't quite understand what they're doing. Some sort of Simic Tempo with Harbinger of the Seas available. I'm not actually that soft to that card. I just needed to know it's in the deck, and now I can just fetch a basic early, and my quadrillion removal spells line up quite well. Yeah, I truly don't know what they're doing or what I need to make a plan for. I feel like my deck is almost just pre-boarded for this. I can flip the script and hit them with Magus of the Moon. That'll show you. I don't think Ragavan lines up well versus Pond Prophet. Engineered Explosives could have a home, but yeah, I think I'm just hitting submit. Okay, this hand importantly cannot fetch basic mountain, but I'm not going to mulligan it. And they did also just lose to someone who is locked under Harbinger, so they might not even prioritize that as a plan. They might have boarded them out. I don't know how many they play. Is it 4? Is it 1? After board, is it 0? Who even knows? I'm going to go for the Channeler here. Start the pressure. Harbinger's a 3-drop. They've banned all the mana acceleration in Modern. I'm not going to get Chrome Mox or Spirit Guided out here. Okay, there is Basic Island. These are good cards. Do I want to risk getting Harbingered again? I'd rather have a second DRC in play than not. All right, I mean, if they want to stick a Harbinger into double DRC again, we can play that game. And this time I have the Otawara up front. I can Spell Snare an Ice Fang Coatl, or if they have nothing, I can heat whatever they do, eventually deploy. All right, cool. Resolved. All right, I'm going in. Spell Snare time. I think I will take the damage. The basic just doesn't matter. That's not the moon they're playing. Snare. This stops them from drawing a card and turns off Flare. I'm actually going to bin Lightning Bolt and Splinter Twin. I'm just looking for that basic mountain or the land that gets me to Otawara in case they slam the thing here. Breeding Pool. If they slam it, they're turning themselves off green again. Shardless Agent. All right, fun. Hitting Pond Prophet. Abhorrent Oculus is in this deck. What is going on over there? I'm so excited. I hope we see whatever their endgame is. Okay, I could heat now in my upkeep, which would smooth out my draw. I think I will do that. Spell Pierce, Graveyard, Bauble. I'm Delirious now. That's dead. Force of Negation. That's fine. That was not really the fight. That was a distraction. I'm going to play Otawara, and now I'm punching really hard with Counterspell back up. Getting Delirium was the point of killing Shardless Agent, not actually killing Shardless Agent. Shifting Woodland. Oh, is this an Omniscience deck? Birthing Ritual. Okay. Here we go. Beginning of your end step, if you control a creature, look at your top 7, then you may sack a creature. If you do, put a creature card from among those cards with mana value X or less, where X is 1 plus the sack creatures. Words. I'm going to try to counter that. They got 1 card left in hand. If they have a counter back, then they are just blind flipping from Hellbent. If they don't counter back, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot here. Okay, Flare. So they can hit a 4-drop or better in the end step. And I do have a Delirious Unholy Heat. Do they have an infinite combo right now, or how does this work? What is about to happen to me? Subtlety. All right. They just got a 3/3. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to heat that and then beat their head off. I'm going to do the upkeep trick again. Smooth out these draws, see if I can hit a counter spell. Scalding Tarn's gone. Basic Island's gone. Bobble. All right. Shred, shred, shred. Lightning Bolt. This almost kills them. All right. I'm going to go top, bobble them, see what they're working with, because we get to know what happens. All right. So they do get to flip into a 3. And I'm going to cast FOMO, which straight up draws the Lightning Bolt here. And then I draw another card. Wild. All right. They're dead on board. They can flip their Pawn Prophet into a 3-drop. Here we go. Endurance is a pretty good flip here, but I still beat it. I just have enough damage on the board, plus the Lightning Bolt. And there it is. Positive record. This league was extremely satisfying. All the games were games. They went back and forth, even splitting the set against 2 Boros energies, both matches going to 3, both ones being down to the wire to determine the winner. Paired into the worst matchup in the format, despite it being 1.5% of the metagame. That's magic sometimes, but yeah, this was sweet. There were games where Splinter Twin was my out. Saying I wouldn't have won a game if I didn't have a combo isn't entirely accurate, because these 6 slots would just be like, I don't know, 2 more Murktide Regents, a different counterspell, another burn. I would have other cards. These would be cards that do something to help maybe avoid the spot where I'm losing. But having a combo to play to is very cool. And showing your opponent the combo, just discarding Twin to FOMO or milling it away with a Surveil. Now that puts just this giant red light up where your opponent has to think about that now while you're beating down with Dragon's Rage Chandler. I think this deck is really well constructed for what it's trying to do. The fear of missing outs, Sai did have in the primer attached to the Moxfield list explanation for why you can't go for FOMO to Deceive Rexart. But FOMO is just a better card. FOMO can't win through an indestructible blocker or a blocker with protection from red. That's kind of the one flip. FOMO does win through Tamiyo though. And FOMO is a card you're happier to cast, just in general, if you don't have a Splinter Twin anywhere in your life. That's something I would consider, but the shell itself, Murktide Regent, Dragon's Rage Chandler, Expressive Iteration, this was a Legacy deck for a while. It was a Modern deck for a while, until a card that's now banned in Legacy pushed this to the side. If you're a Splinter Twin kind of gamer, and this is important to you to try, and I think that just being a tempo counterspell deck is probably better. But if this is something you want to do, this is a way to do it. And I think this list is quite well reasoned, and great job, Sai. Thanks for sharing it with us. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon. I'll see you next time.